What to do after a motorcycle accident. I'm an attorney and a motorcycle rider. I'm also a motorcycle accident victim myself. I broke my wrist, my ankle, and 7 bones in my back in a very serious motorcycle accident in 1992. Thankfully, I made a good recovery, and I still continue to ride. Still, it's an experience that I'll never forget, and one that I'm constantly reminded of in my work as a personal injury attorney representing motorcyclists. With that in mind, I'd like to give you some advice on what to do when there's been a motorcycle accident. The first thing to do, if you're not the one that has been injured, is to make sure the accident victim gets the necessary medical attention. Qualified medical personnel are really the people who should be handling everything. But until they arrive, there are things that we, as untrained motorcyclists, can do to help before the medical professionals arrive. At an accident site, adrenaline will be going full blast, and the most important thing is to keep calm and think. After a person has gone down, they will be in a confused and scared state. They probably don't know what happened when they went down. Often the only thing on their mind will be their bike. If you are an injured rider, do not try to move or get on your bike. If you're with a friend that is injured, you should say something like, "You've been in a motorcycle accident. It is important that you do not try to move." Tell them that an ambulance is coming, assuming somebody has been sent to get one. Be careful what you say around the victim, even if they are unconscious, because they still may be able to hear you. If you say something like, "Boy, this dude is messed up bad. Maybe we don't need an ambulance after all," it's going to register at some level with the person and can do nothing but harm. How you say things will be important, just as what you say. Keep, or at least try to sound, calm, and it will reduce the panic of everyone else present. When rendering assistance at an accident scene, safety must be your primary concern. An accident scene can be a hectic place with a lot of things going on at once. If you're helping someone lying in the middle of the road and a semi comes barreling down on both of you, you aren't going to do the victim or anybody else much good. If people are available, get someone up road and down road to wave down traffic. This is especially important in tight turns where they may not have time to stop after seeing the accident site. If there's been a gas or oil spill, make sure you point it out to emergency personnel as soon as they arrive. People who smoke tend to light up under stress. Ask these people to either extinguish their smokes or move away from the flammable materials. And/or the bikes. It is easy to forget something obvious like this in a stressful situation like an accident scene. Remember, keep calm and think. The first thing to do in terms of medical attention is to try and determine if a victim is breathing by listening to their chest, feeling for breath, and checking their pulse. If a victim is breathing normally, leave the helmet on. It is very dangerous to remove someone's helmet if they have some type of neck or back injury. The only time it should be removed is if the airway is blocked by gravel or some other debris and cannot be cleared with the helmet on. If the victim does not appear to be breathing, CPR should be administered immediately by someone who knows how to do it, and the helmet should be left on if possible. The method for helmet removal recommended by the American College of Orthopedic Surgeons requires 2 people to do it. You should remove the glasses and unbuckle the chin strap. One person should be on the side of the head of the victim, and the other person should be directly behind the head of the victim, stabilizing the head to avoid excess movement. The person on the side puts one hand behind the victim's head, supporting at the base of the skull, not on the helmet. They put their other hand on the jaw or the chin, not on the helmet. They will be supporting the head, so it is important to get a good solid grip. Keep some tension in the arms so that if the person pulling the helmet slips, the victim's head won't drop. The person sitting behind the head will then slowly pull the helmet back directly off the head. Watch out for catching the nose on the chin guard on full face helmets, as well as ears and earrings. After the helmet is off, put a leather jacket or something under the head of the victim. If the person supporting their head lets go, their head will drop a good 4 inches, and this would not be good. If possible, it would be best to have a third person ready with something to place under the victim's head once the helmet is removed. After the helmet is off, the person behind the head should again hold the victim's head to promote cervical immobilization. Again, this is only to be used in situations where there is no other option. Leave the helmet on until the ambulance personnel arrive, if at all possible. Before the ambulance arrives, send people to intersections in all directions to watch or look for and direct the ambulance. When the ambulance arrives, it is important to stay out of the way as much as possible. Meet them and identify yourself as being in charge, to be the person they contact if anything goes on, such as bikes need to be removed, people moved, or whatever. If the helmet was removed, send it along in the ambulance. The doctors may use the helmet to look for visible damage to help to assess what to look for in terms of injuries. Before the officers do arrive, try not to move motorcycle parts any more than necessary. The police may need to take accident scene notes, and by moving things around, you may confuse the situation for them. Parts will need to be moved off the road to avoid further accidents, but move them directly to the side, so law enforcement officials can determine roughly where the bike came to a stop. Try not to disturb the bike any more than necessary. You may have to turn the petcock off or electrics turned off. The bike may have to be propped up vertically, etc. I'd like to touch on a few miscellaneous things that bikers should keep in mind if they are involved in an accident. Leathers will probably have to be cut off by medical personnel. Be mentally prepared for it. If they do not cut off your clothes, you will not get proper assessment of your wounds. And if you're not being treated properly, and if you are conscious and insist that they do not cut your leathers, they cannot by law. If you are unconscious, it is implied consent, and they will remove them if in doubt. The most important thing is your health and well-being. Seconds are crucial when your health is compromised. If you have any questions as to whether or not you or a fellow rider sustained an injury, summon an ambulance and get to a hospital for a thorough exam. You can contact a lawyer to help you if you're worried about who is going to pay for it afterwards. Even if you do not think that you or another rider has been seriously injured, call the police. Reporting an accident is the first step in documenting that something took place. Tell the officer what the other driver did or what roadway conditions were that caused the accident. The other parties and their lawyers will work hard to prove you are at fault to minimize any recovery you may be entitled to. You do not have to help them. Find out the names, addresses, phone numbers, email addresses, and any other contact information of witnesses. Record the accident scene and vehicles if possible. You can do this with most cell phones. Accident scene photos can help reconstruct an accident. If you're unable to take photos, you can call to have a loved one or a friend come and take photos to the extent that's possible. If you have the misfortune of being injured in a motorcycle accident, there are some basic things that you must always be aware of. First, you need to be familiar with all the different types of insurance coverage that may be available to you. There are different policies that kick in different kinds of coverage. These include your own motorcycle's insurance policy, health insurance that you may have purchased from work or purchased independently, Medicaid if you have no health insurance and were advised by the hospital that you may be eligible for it, a work disability policy if your employer provides one, any disability policy that may have been purchased on your own like AFLAC, policies that cover vehicles owned by relatives who live in your household. In some states, these policies will afford additional coverage for you. Any umbrella policies that you may have. Additionally, you may be entitled to workers' compensation if the accident occurred while you were in the course of your employment. If you have been injured in an accident, do not make any statements to anybody investigating the accident without the advice and consent of an attorney. An experienced motorcycle attorney can help you prepare for these statements in order to ensure that you don't do anything to jeopardize your rights. In order to maximize the recovery to which you are entitled, you should contact an attorney experienced with handling motorcycle accident cases as soon as possible after an accident. An experienced motorcycle accident attorney usually charges the same percentage fee as an attorney with little or no experience. You wouldn't trust your bike repairs to an auto mechanic who doesn't normally work on motorcycles, and you shouldn't trust your case to an attorney who doesn't have particular knowledge and experience in motorcycle accident cases. AIM attorneys, all of whom are bikers themselves, pride themselves on their expertise in dealing with a whole host of factors that are peculiar to motorcycle accident cases. They also contribute a significant portion of their attorney fees to fund the National Coalition of Motorcyclists and do pro bono or free work for motorcyclist rights and the riding community at large. I hope this brief overview of what to do in the event of an accident has been informative, and encourage you to contact an AIM attorney if you have any questions about anything discussed here or anything else to do with motorcycle rights, or what to do if you've been involved in an accident. Ride free, ride safe.